Well, hello and welcome to our paper art holiday workshop here at the Walt Disney Family Museum. My name is Ryan Riller and I'm going to be your virtual instructor for today. Just a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Ryan. I'm born and raised here in the Bay Area. I went to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco where I focus on animation, and I love everything about animation, but the main thing I enjoyed was pre-production stuff like character designs or costume design, maybe some storyboards here and there. And then of course I love doing the paper art stuff. Definitely it's something that I actually learned at the Walt Disney Family Museum years ago. They had a Disney artist come out for an event and she did a little demo about her process and how she goes about making her creations with the cutouts. And so yeah, now I'm still here doing it and I'm going to show you guys my process, and hopefully after today's demo you could take what you learned and either make some cool little greeting cards for the holidays, or it's like some 3D art where you could, frame it and give it to someone as a gift. So let's get into the materials. Of course, you're going to need your background paper. Also, you're going to need a couple of drawings that you made. So make your drawing and then get a scanner, print it out to the size that you need. Also going to need your papers for the piece. So I have some white, some blues and greens. I have some grays and a brown. And then I also have this fancy gold paper that we're going to use for some little details later. Put to the side. On top of that, I have my Copic markers. I use these for everything I do. Like it gives a bit of a painter feel to it, so I like that, and it's less of a mess, of course. I have my Prismacolor pencils. We have some tacky glue. Got my Excel blade, and you're gonna need your pen, and also a white gel pen for some details later. Making these guys, it's a lot about just repeating the same step over and over again. All you're gonna do is trace, cut, and color. That's it. Trace, cut, color, and then glue at the end when you're ready. But let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's just start off with the snow here. What you're gonna do is get the color paper that you want. And of course I'm gonna take this later and color it different, make it a bit more blue, because I want an icy look instead of just a plain white look. So I'm gonna take the paper of the cardstock that I want. I'm gonna get one of my drawings here, put the drawing over the cardstock, get your pen, and then you're just gonna trace the piece that you want. And now you're gonna trace this hard enough to the point where it won't go through the paper, but you do want to trace it to the point where you leave a little mark in the paper that you drew on, so that way you know how to cut. And here are those marks I'm talking about. So now what we're going to do is cut where we made those lines. And that's really all it is. Just a lot of repeating that trace, cut, and color that I'm doing. And again, you want to push hard enough to the point where you're going to be able to see where you traced it, but you're not going to go through the paper. And you see I'm actually not tracing it perfectly or cutting on the lines perfectly because I'm thinking about where I'm going to glue this later, how I'm going to attach things. So I left some extra space here because we're going to need a way to attach the body to itself. Now here I am going to trace the eyes just so I know where to put them later when I go back to make those details. Now that we cut out all our snow pieces, I can go ahead and show you kind of what we're going for. You always want to go back every now and then and just put things in place and see if they're working okay. And there goes the snow part of it. So now you're just going to go ahead and just repeat that uh, trace, cut, and then we'll color later technique for everything else. It's really just a bunch of repeating. this paper is a little bit thicker, so I'm pressing it a little bit harder. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out this hat here. Normally I probably would do it in two pieces, like I'll do the brim, this whole part, and then the bottom part, because I'm probably going to attach something else, like one of those detailed papers to it. But instead I'm just going to like draw on the little like ribbon that he has, so he can attach this or cut this out as one piece. And you might want to outline where you're going to put like the little detail spots too, just so you know where things are going. Let's go ahead and do a scarf, also in that dark blue color. Again, it's repeating the same process over and over. Gonna get the cardstock that you want, which is your main color. Gonna put your drawing on top of it, and then use your pen to trace down what you wanna cut out. And you even see sometimes I'm not even hitting the line, just going near it. So it does not have to be perfect. And that's the fun thing about doing paper art, is that like it's never the same. Even when I make copies, I've done this snowman a few times before I did it with you guys, and yeah, all of them came out differently. So that's just the thing that's very charming about this stuff, is that it's always going to be some one-of-a-kind art, even if you're remaking the same thing. And these parts of his scarf, they're so like basic that we don't really even need to just stencil them out. Just gotta do this. Have one big piece and one small piece. And now, even while I'm tracing the drawing that I already did, I'm still kind of thinking after the fact of what I'm tracing. So I know his hands are supposed to be sticks. So when I was tracing the drawing, I thought about like, okay, branches are a little bit more rough than these straight lines I'm giving. So I will go back and kind of redraw even while I'm tracing the stuff to get it all stenciled out. Kind of get more of the plant pieces in the back. I'm using this light green for it. Now these pieces are interesting because those most of the time I just freehand. Like I draw it because I know how like big I want it, but it's easier just to try and freehand these. So what I do is just get the paper that I want and get a color that's kind of similar to it, but I can still see, and draw on the back. So that small one, I want something like this. And the big one, and we do a 2-petal like that. And then you just use what you drew as a guide, which you can totally do for any other projects. Like you can just draw your snowman instead of like finding another one or even mine and printing it out. But you're totally free to just draw your drawings as you, or draw your cutouts as you go. Then lastly, backtracking to our snow that we did earlier, I have these little snow piles on top of the plants. So we're going to go back and stencil those out real quick. Again, using the same technique of just putting the colored paper down under, and then you're drawing on top and using your pen, pushing hard enough to the point that you're going to leave an indentation in the paper that you're cutting out. All right, and there goes that final snow mound. So now we just need to cut out his buttons real quick, and then I think we can get started on, we can see where we're at, and then we can start on the coloring process. Now, before we go into coloring, let's just go back and put our stuff together and see what it's looking like real quick, so that way we get an idea of how things could look before you actually start putting in the color. The way I broke this up is there's 3 levels to it. So there's the background, the foreground, and the middle ground. So what's in the back, what's in the middle, and what's in the front. So this bush goes in the background. So this is roughly where you should be in the process. Well, it should look something like that. And that's with no color, just everything stenciled out and just put together. So now we're gonna start coloring things and see and show you how you can take it to another level, just being vibrant. So coloring, I already said earlier, I'm using a mixture of Copic markers and Prismacolor pencils. They're my favorite. So just go ahead and jump into it. Get the desired paper you want, desired color, and just start coloring. this is the back bush, so it's gonna be my darkest bush out of all of them. So for the bushes, I just got this light blue pencil and just kind of went over the edges like this to make it look like it was a bit frosted. And then we're gonna take that gel pen that we had earlier and just gonna add some little specks to it, make it look like the snow really fell and it just has like a icy look to it. I didn't want to frost this one because I don't know, it gave it a bit more variety instead of having everything being frosted. So these guys just get some little specks. You're free to do it however you want though. Got those branches that are in the bushes. Just gonna get my gel pen and make like some little tree lines. Like those little veins you see in a tree or something. Gonna color the hat now. Get this dark blue here. Get my blue pencil. Same with these guys for the scarf. Now the scarf is a fun point where you can do some detailing. So I'm gonna get my white pencil. I wanna give him like a plaid look. So I'm just gonna make some little marks like this. There's one. Even for his knot, give him some detail so that it looks like it's all cohesive. So we got the plaid scarf, and then we're going to do some detailing on the hat too. Make it a little bit more festive for the holidays and the special occasion. And there goes that. His arm is wood too, so I'm making those little tree lines that we had in the branches earlier. And now it's time to do the snow pieces. I'm using a frost blue Copic marker to give it the icy feel. I'm not super thinking about, like, I guess a light source in this thing exactly, but obviously, like, that's the under part of him, so it should be a little darker there. And that sometimes might even, where the light is coming from, that might determine which way I'm coloring. Oh, now watch out for that. You see I left a mark, and that's from coloring the hands from earlier. So be careful about leaving fingerprints and little marks like that. I believe this one's okay because it's gonna get covered by that part there. We can make it covered, so we're safe in this case. For the buttons, I'm just gonna make some little lines on them to make it look like they're just not flat pieces of paper, like, you know, if it's like a rock or something that has some depth to it. So by putting this little line there, hopefully the illusion that it's just not a flat piece. Maybe color it a little bit. And lastly, I cut out this little white piece for his carrot nose. Now that we have the base, or all the pieces colored out actually, let's go ahead and just assemble this so we can see where we're at right now. And you see, even as I'm putting this together, obviously there's some things that I decided to change while I was doing the work, and that happens all the time, and that makes things a bit more interesting. This arm goes behind him. Oh. His scarf goes under the head like that. Got our two pieces. And the knot. We have the hat. And that's where we should be about now. At this point, we just need to, of course, glue it together and just color in some of the background. So let's keep going. Background colors. So let's go ahead and sit our guy over here for a second. The background colors I chose, I wanted to go for something a bit more, I guess, not traditional, just like blue or something. I wanted to go with like a blue-green because it sends a warm situation or a warm vibe in what should be a cold scene, and I think it makes it look appealing. So I use these three colors and then just kind of blended them together to get the color that I want for this piece. Just to give you an idea of what I want, because I went ahead and colored this a bit earlier, because this is actually one of the most time-consuming parts is just getting the background to be colored in such a smooth way that it fits what you want. And you're looking at this thinking like, okay, like I'm missing a bunch of it. Well, I did color that way because I knew a lot of it would get blocked off. So what I did, I went ahead and just colored first. I just cut this guy out as close as possible to like where it possibly will be. And you see that all the spots are now getting filled up already. Just do some more detailing. This is a time where I would come in and do like some fun stuff. Like I love making things look like frilly and whimsical and stuff. So I'll come back in here and do like my little like plant thingies. Just go around and detail all this stuff. Bring a bit more life into it. And yeah, just kind of do something like that. And once you get it all colored in for the background, now you're finally ready to start gluing this stuff together. So let's get our tacky glue. And also, if you're gonna lift stuff up, you do have to use a hot glue gun. So I'll get that warmed up and ready to go too. And yeah, let's continue. Going and start gluing this stuff down. Definitely helps to have your little tracing guide that you've been using the whole time. And it's not gonna fit perfectly, but definitely a big help. Before we glue down his head, let's go ahead and finish detailing it. You want to do this part probably before you actually glue it down, because if you don't like the face, it won't be attached to it. So yeah, draw the face first. Put a little glue right there. Now it gives me an idea of where I want his smile to be. All right, I think that's good. Let's let him dry a bit and move on to the plants. A little bit of glue goes a long way too. Don't overdo it with the glue because you want to do your best to not show any like glue highlights, because then that breaks the illusion that of the artwork. See, this guy is now getting pretty solid. So let's continue with him. Right. Now, you should roughly have something like this. This is how it looks when it's not popped out. Everything is on the same plane. And yeah, so all that's left to do now is just go ahead and start lifting this thing up. Now, while the hot glue gun is still warming up, we're gonna go ahead and talk about lifts. So the lifts are what help make the art lift up and actually pop out. And it seems like the hardest part, but it's actually the simplest. You just go ahead and like find the color paper that you're using, cut out a thin strip depending on how big the piece is, and roll it up into a little ball like this. Get your hot glue. Glue it together a little bit like that. Be careful on this part. And just get rid of what you don't need. And now, for example, we have this little green piece. I'm gluing the back piece to the actual artwork, but I'm gonna lift up this one bush in front though. So I'm gonna get my hot glue again. And glue it down to the artwork. And before I glue that bush down to this bush, I'm gonna use a tacky glue and glue this to the actual artwork, the back of it. Same with this piece too. I'm gonna go ahead, I want this to be the background. So go put some glue on that. Just gonna put this like right there. You wanna keep putting your snowman on just so you can see like where things are gonna be hidden a little bit, where you place things. So now I'm gonna get that piece we just raised up with the lift that we made. Hot glue. I'm gonna put this right there and hold it in place to where you want it to be. You see you have all this excess piece here. You could just go ahead and just trim that off. And yeah, now we're gonna keep doing that lift step over again. Let me show you one more time. Get the color you want. This is for the back of the snowman, so it's a little bit bigger. Gonna roll it up in a ball. Get your hot glue gun. Put some hot glue on it again so you can attach it to where you want it to be attached to. I'm gonna put this on the back of the snowman's head. And now he's starting to lift already. So he's gonna repeat this step a couple times. Backtracking a little bit, I mentioned earlier about the middle ground, foreground, and background. So background being the bushes in the back, so they're touching the actual background paper. The snowman is the middle ground, and I think I want the snowman, the snow he's sitting on, and this bush here to be all on the same plane, or middle ground. So I'm gonna have those be together. Get an idea of where I want things. Trim that a little bit. I want that probably right there. I'm gonna use tacky glue for this part because I may not want to glue as fast if I don't get it in the right place that I like. That's good. While that's drying, let's work on those foreground pieces. So I'm gonna have my snow right here. I want this to be attached to that. Gonna use my tacky glue. I'm gonna do a little bit there. And I want this guy in front. A little bit of tacky glue. And now that this is all connected together, I can just put it on one lift. Let's get into the very final steps of gluing everything down with hot glue this time. So this is permanent. This is the scary part. I'm just gonna take this bush. I'm not gonna put it on a lift or anything. I'm just gonna get some hot glue and just attach it to where I want it to be. And you see I'm gonna put it where like these spots over here showing like where we did like all the work and stuff, like the parts that aren't really super clean. Gonna use that to cover it up. Now before I glue this down, you see that obviously the drawing has, or when we cut out stuff, things change, so it's not lining up exactly where I want it to be. Like I have maybe some more background showing than I originally hoped for, so let's just color that stuff in before we finalize everything. Okay, yeah, that's good. So I'm gonna get our hot glue one final time. Now that he's all glued down, we can go ahead and just do some like little extra final details. It is a snow scene, so let's make some snowfall here and there. First, I'm using my pencil. Put it all over. Then I get my gel pen. It's definitely a bit more vibrant than the color pencil. And make some more snowfall. I'm gonna make it a bit more heavier at the top. And also just put it in places that I think just need some attention where not much is going on. And that is about it. That is how you build a paper snowman. Thank you everyone who stuck around with us for the full time, and hopefully you guys learned enough to go ahead and either practice with the snowman or make your own creations for either a greeting card or just some artwork that you like to frame and give to somebody. And again, my name is Ryan Riller. You could find me on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions or want any tips or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. And thanks again to the Walt Disney Family Museum for having me. Really appreciate it. And yeah, everyone else, have a nice day.